it's Gregory Rice, and we're here in Nexus Front Office. And right about now, I'd like to show you how to create a new work order. Now, a work order can be generated two different ways. Number one, through Nexus Front Office, and number two, through the tenant's online portal. But for the purposes of today's example, let's go ahead and click the Maintenance tab. Once you do that, you'll see that you're brought to a screen that lists each and every maintenance work order, starting with the most recent. So as I'm scrolling down here, you can see that these dates start to get older and older. So it's very efficient, very simple, and very easy to use. So back to our example now, we'll go ahead and click New Work Order. And once you do that, you'll be brought to the New Work Order template screen. Now this is calling for some information about the job to be done. So let's go ahead now, top to bottom, and check it out. The first field here is work order number. This will automatically populate itself so you never ever have to worry about punching in a number. Definitely very convenient. The next field is the location. Now the location, you have two different options. So what I'm going to do is type in an example. 243 Transit Street. Now you'll see that this building has 4 apartments, but also this 5th one here. This is what's called the building. So you have the building and then each applicable apartment. So you're probably thinking to yourself, why is there a building as well as apartments? And the reason is this. If you're doing some type of exterior work, basement work, chimney work, roof work, something that's not in a tenant's apartment, the software gives you the option to let the technician know that. So in this case, we're going to be cutting the grass at the property. So we don't need to bother any tenants about that. We don't need to give them any alerts, unless of course you wanted to. So we're going to select that building. Once you do that, you'll see it populates there, and we can move on to our next field, which is the source. Now, source is not required, but it's definitely good to have, and it wants to know, how did you find out about this request? And in this example, the tenant walked into the office to tell us that the grass was high. So I'll go ahead and select in person. And the next field is who told you that. So what you're going to do is punch in that person's name, and for this example we'll do myself, Greg Rice, and boom, there you go. Greg Rice, phone number, email, ready to go for the technician should he want to contact that person. Now the next 3 fields here, send tenant alert, publish to tenant portal, publish to owner portal. These are optional, and what they do is they notify the tenant or the owner of this pending work order. So in this case, we're going to be cutting the grass, and Mr. Rice requested it. So for convenience and to keep him updated, we're going to send him an alert as well as publish it to his portal. And the owner, it is always highly suggested that they get notified of any work order. So you always want to publish that owner checkbox. The Manage By field is a field of the technician who's in charge of that work order. So in this case, it's going to be Todd Richardson. The type and the category are defaulted, and what they are is service request and general maintenance. Now you could play around with this if it was an inspection or an estimate, followed by an emergency status, landscaping, rent ready, salt and shovel kits, snow removal, whatever it may be. You can also add fields if you like. But for this example, it's going to be service request, general maintenance. The priority you can also put as high, medium, and low. In this case, we're going to keep it at medium. And authority to enter the unit is not applicable, so we're just going to keep that at no. And the estimated time and estimated cost is something that would publish to the owner's portfolio. It's not something that we suggest filling out because you really don't know what you're up against until you're doing it. So you should leave that blank. The start date is when you would like the technician to start that work. Now, we can't say that he has time today to do it, but we want to put today so he knows that he is able to go over there and start as soon as possible. Sometimes you may need to post date things. If tenants are leaving apartments or they're on vacation, you can notify the technician here. End date is something that you also want to keep blank because there's really no way of predicting or knowing when the job will be exactly completed. Search tag, specific location, once again, keep it blank. Over information here, and you're really stretching because you don't know exactly 100% what needs to be done, where it needs to be done, so we leave that blank. The description, however, is a field that you always want to fill out, and that's where you tell the technician what you've learned from the tenant, the phone call, from the owner, from the city, whoever gave you this information. You want to put it here for the technician. So what I'm going to say is this. Tenant walked into office and reported that the grass was over a foot tall all the way around the property. So this way the technician can quickly read that and say, I gotta cut the grass. And that's very simple. Now there's some work orders that are definitely more in depth, so you want to provide detail and more detail as possible. The required materials we can put in here that the technician will need: a lawnmower, hedge trimmer, and weed whacker. Just to give him an idea of what he's up against. Now he most likely knows that from reading the description, but it definitely doesn't hurt to give him that extra bit of information. Now the maintenance notice is a field that's not applicable here. Custom field, not applicable. Assets, not applicable. However, the vendor is. The vendor is the person that you want to complete that job. So in this case, it's Todd Richardson. And what this will do is just let Todd know that it's his work order and nobody else's. So once you complete that, you click save. And we're just having a technical difficulty there because I'm not a tenant of the property. So the software is telling me that I can't publish it to portal. So not a big deal here. We'll just unselect the tenant alert and tenant portal. Go ahead and click save. And there you go. The work order has been pushed through. It's been assigned a number. And the final thing here is that it needs to be approved or denied. So this is something where you can approve it if you feel it's needed and necessary or an emergency status. And if it's not, then you would want to let the owner approve or deny that request. In this case, it's over a foot tall. The city is likely to fine the owner a violation penalty, so we'll want to go ahead and approve that and click save. Now once we do that, not only does the tenant get notified, the owner gets notified, but Todd will also see this work order in his to-do bucket. And this is the completion of creating a work order. The final task Todd would do once it's all done is go ahead and click close, and that'll be all set. And a final note here, very important, is you can communicate with the Nexus team members, the tenants of the property, as well as the owner right down below here in the Conversations tab. So once again, this is Gregory Rice with Nexus Property Management telling you and showing you how to create and finish up a work order.